Okay, hello friends. Very exciting developments in the last few days. Just a few days ago, the leaders of the worldwide Seventh-day Adventist Church came together and brought in a new position on abortion. Very exciting. A lot of major, very good, excellent developments, major victories. So in this video, what I would like to do is identify the top 8 or 9 victories and significant changes and why they are so important. Just a short review, last Monday during the annual council, October 14, the leaders at the annual council in Silver Spring, Maryland, had a discussion in the afternoon about abortion, and I heard many things that were very concerning. There's still a lot of problems that needed to be addressed, so I made a video. So the meeting was on Monday. On Tuesday, I produced a video identifying many of the major problems, hoping to influence the discussion as much as I can. I'm not a leader in the church, but I want to do the best that I can with the talents and resources that I have. And it was Wednesday the 16th that the leaders came together with the new revised position statement, and there was an overwhelming majority vote, only 3 or 4 opposing. So overall, it was accepted. There is a new position on abortion in the Adventist Church, and it's very important. I want to make this video to identify the top major victories, very significant, very noteworthy, very important victories and things to take notice of. So let's begin. Victory number one was the elimination of the mother's health exception. This was the loophole that could have been emotional health, mental health, financial health. It's the same loophole that was used by the Supreme Court in Roe versus Wade and Doe versus Bolton to justify abortion on demand. So even if we had the old position, if this was the only thing that happened, the removal of the health exception, this would have been just phenomenal just by itself. But that's just one thing that happened. So that's an excellent thing. I praise God for that, the removing of the health exception. Victory number 2 was the removal of the rape exception. The new position doesn't even mention rape at all, makes no exceptions for abortion in cases of rape. And this is very significant, because the abortion lobby, the people who defend abortion, the rape exception is very, very important, because they use that to appeal to people's minds and elicit an emotional response. Once they get people in the mode of thinking about rape and how terrible it is, people stop cogitating, they stop thinking, and they start feeling emotional and feeling so sorry for the victim that they then are led to accept the murder of another victim, the innocent baby. So the fact that the Adventist Church would totally eliminate and drop the rape exception is just, it's quite remarkable. Anyways, that's a victory. Victory number 1, mother's health. Victory number 2, the rape exception. Victory number 3, this is very important, is that in this document, for the first time in 49 years, the leadership of the Adventist Church came out and defined or affirmed the biblical definition that the unborn are in fact whole, complete, living human children. And that is extremely significant, because they're acknowledging the biblical evidence in both the Old and New Testament that the authors of the Bible always defined the unborn as living human children and are therefore protected by the 6th commandment. This is also important, and I will come back to this in a moment, is because the official Seventh-day Adventist dictionary and the books about what Adventists believe define the soul, as not coming into existence until a child is born. So this is very exciting. I think this is great. This definitely does not close the door on this issue, because this leads to other problems. Is right now we have a position on abortion which says, yes, the unborn are living human children and are therefore souls. However, we have other statements, our official dictionary and our official books, that say, no, you're not a soul until you are born. Now, as most of you probably know, I already made an entire video on this point with all the data, the references, and citations. So please look down below and check out the link to watch that video. But this is great, because now we have an official statement which is in complete opposition to other statements, and hopefully will force leaders to begin addressing these huge, blatant contradictions. So mother's health, the rape exception, unborn humans, same as the born. Number 4, huge victory number 4, is that abortion is defined as a violation of the 6th commandment. It's worded really strange, something like, abortion falls within the scope of the 6th commandment. No one talks like that today. No, I mean, you never hear people talk like that. But this is huge because by the Adventist Church admitting or teaching now that abortion falls within the scope of the 6th commandment, this is a huge tacit admission of guilt. We are guilty of innocent blood. We have murdered, and we have murdered tens of thousands of children in our own institutions, and we have given moral support to the murder and genocide of children all over the world, and not to mention, of course, Edward Allred, how we honor and celebrate murderers. So this is it. I mean, this is just astounding. I mean, this is astounding. Number 1, that they would define the unborn as children. Number 2, that abortion is murder, which is a very self-incriminating statement, that we've supported child murder for 49 years. So these are huge, huge victories. Also notice very carefully that during the discussion, to my knowledge, no leaders got up and opposed these conclusions. Nobody got up and said, well, we're still 49 years later, we're still not quite sure whether the unborn are just a clump of cells or not, or potential personhood, airy-fairy spiritual woo-woo nonsense. Nobody said that. They just accepted it. No one objected to it. It said that abortion is a violation of the 6th commandment. Again, nobody objected to it. They just said, it's like everyone knew before they even went in there. It's just, anyways, really sad. Point number 5 is that you may have noticed on Monday afternoon that after Landless and D'Souza from the BRI, after they read the new abortion statement, immediately the Stele got up there and said he made a motion to, what was the word? To rescind the 1992 guidelines. And this is very important because, as most of you watching this video knows, or as most of you watching this video have probably been extremely frustrated and infuriated by this, for years and years and years and years, we have been contacting church leadership in the conference, in the union, in the division, in the GC, and what has been their response? Every single time, year after year after year after year, has always been the same. It's been what? Go read the guidelines. Ask about abortion? Go read the guidelines. Go read the guidelines. Go read the guidelines year after year after year. And then all of a sudden, let's rescind and throw out the guidelines, and no explanation was given. Isn't that interesting? They tell us for years, oh, the guidelines, they're biblical, they're fair, they're balanced, oh, go read the guidelines, never give you any evidence, and then all of a sudden, oh, let's throw out the guidelines. No explanation. Very strange. Anyways, and a great question to ask people. Now we can expect now that people are going to say, nonsense stuff like, we never supported abortion, and, the church never supported abortion. And all you have to do is ask them one simple question. If we never supported abortion, then why did we bring about change in 2019? If the guidelines were so good, so biblical, and so balanced, then why throw them away in 2019? Anyways, everyone knows the answer to that. Victory number 6 is that religious liberty and freedom of conscience, language, nonsense teaching is completely annihilated and destroyed. And this is huge. I mean, take time to just stop and think about that. They have been preaching religious liberty, freedom of conscience endlessly every day, years and years and years. And anyone who ever spoke against abortion was disparaged, maligned, insulted, and painted. I mean, if you are an Adventist, and you question our teaching on abortion or say anything against abortion, then you must be some sort of infiltrating Jesuit or undercover minion of the devil. You're here to undermine and destroy the church, and it's total nonsense. And what is really interesting is right now, the church just voted this in last week. So, as I mentioned in the other video, if there are leaders who truly believe, as they say they've believed for the last 30 plus years, if they really believe that abortion is a matter of freedom of conscience or religious liberty, then they need to begin acting immediately. We need to see these leaders right now. Lincoln Steed, Greg Hamilton, Alan Reinach, all these people, Nicholas Miller, all these leaders in religious liberty. If you truly believe that abortion is a matter of religious liberty, then these people need to come out now and begin objecting. But I suspect they'll probably do nothing because they know, I know, and you know, it was a complete lie the entire time. These people have stood up, handled the word of God deceitfully, and they have taught a lie for over 30 years to justify, in their own words. I mean, stop and think about it. they define abortion as murder. And they used religious liberty language to defend that. So we have top church leaders who have defended the murder of children using religious liberty, and when it gets challenged and thrown out, they don't even defend it. They don't even stand up and object because they knew it was a lie. They defended the murder of children using a lie, and they didn't say anything. Nothing. It's just, I mean, I'm just disgusted beyond words. This is also an admission that evangelicals and Catholics are right in opposing abortion. They took a correct response. We criticized and condemned them for, of course, decades. But suddenly we acknowledge that, yes, abortion is murder. So the evangelicals and Catholics, they're wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong. 2019, oh, they're right. They're right by opposing abortion as murder. Another point that under the religious liberty and freedom of conscience topic is that this has huge political implications. I don't really like the word political. I prefer the word, I like to use the word civil society. By defining abortion as murder, we acknowledge that yes, this is a genocide taking place, which has huge implications that the unborn, our children, deserve to be protected just as much as the born, and that abortion is a threat to civil society. And to prove the point, if you go look at the new abortion statement, I believe it's on page 4, line 4, it says this, quote, "This abortion affects the unborn, of course, the mother, the father, immediate and extended family members, the church family, and society, with long-term consequences for all." Unfortunately, as most people watching this video know as well as I do, there are so many wimps in our church leadership that I suspect nobody, or if anyone at all, is going to say anything. Everyone understands the implications for this, but nobody's going to say anything. No, just a bunch of wimps. So anyways, this is I mean, to look at this visually, it's like you're in a battle or a war, and all the people on the opposing side, they just completely melt away and disappear. It's like when Goliath got killed, the immediate response of the Philistines was to turn and run. They just retreated and abandoned everything. They retreated from their position, abandoned everything. And that's exactly what we see today with all these religious liberty woo-woo gurus of religious liberty. They're saying nothing because they knew it was a lie. It's a complete massive retreat and a tacit admission that everything they said, everything they published for the last 30 plus years was a complete and total lie. And the implications of that are astounding. Victory number 7. This is really interesting, is that we now have evidence. We can now see that the culture and the climate in the Adventist Church on the topic of abortion has changed dramatically. I was talking the other day to someone, Teresa Beam and others, and they were telling me, Andrew, back in the 1980s, especially in the 1980s and 1990s, if you were a member of the Adventist Church and you so much as even questioned our position on abortion, or if you expressed any type of anti-abortion sentiment, then you were seen as a bad guy. That was really, really bad. You were immediately suspect, and there was a very hostile, not exaggerating, there was a very hostile reaction to Adventists that would even dare say something against abortion. And now today, what's this, 20 years later, we can constantly question it. We can make videos hammering away and blasting out this and openly question it. I mean, I can stand outside the GC with a big giant red and yellow bold sign, "Abortion is wrong. Jesus does not want this in the church." And there's almost no response now. Of course there were some people that were upset with my sign, but hey, get over it. So, the entire culture and change is in our favor now. It's very, very exciting. Amazing that change. And what's also interesting is that I didn't start making my videos until just a few years ago, starting in 2016, especially the beginning of 2017. And people would say, all sorts of people would constantly tell me, they say, "Andrew, this is never going to change. It's never going to change. The church is Babylon. The church is lost, or we're in apostasy." And even church leaders, I would talk to them. They say, "Yeah, it's wrong, but the church is never going to change, Andrew. It's never going to change." And boom, just like that, here we are in 2019. I think, tell me in the comments down below, but I think that many people watching this video are probably just shocked. You're still trying to, what happened? What happened? The annual council, we just reversed our position. This is, no one expected that this was going to happen, and it happened just like that. So very exciting. Victory number 8, and I talked about this in the other video, is conspiracy theories are now fact. Conspiracy theories are now fact. Fake news is now fact. What leaders in the Adventist Church have denied for years. Oh, our hospitals never did that. And oh, our position doesn't believe that. Our position is biblical. And anyone who questioned this, you're a conspiracy theorist, unbalanced, tinfoil hat, crazy person, all this nonsense for all these years. And now, all of a sudden, everything they said was not true and fake news. It's fact. They admitted it now. We have changed our official position. This is open, official. You can see on the audio, video, published documents. You don't have to look in the weird parts, strange depths of the internet to find this. This comes straight from the GC Annual Council. They stood right there. They showed the whole world church. We're overturning this. And now we have a biblical position. How nice. After 49 years on the most volatile, disgusting, terrible issue, the number one way that people die is abortion. And after 49 years, we're just now taking a biblical stance on that. Amazing. Anyways, victory number 9 on a personal level, for me personally, this new position, what we just saw happen, this vindicates everything that I have ever said. People, many times, as you can see in the comments, people say, Andrew, you're lying. Andrew, you're misinterpreting everything. And Andrew, you're attacking the church. But look, top church leaders there at the GC Annual Council vindicated everything I've ever said, everything that everyone else has complained about, and they completely overturned the position. So, yeah, and I don't really, complaints, whatever. I'm just going to make my videos anyway. People told me that our position was already biblical, and now look, people said for years, even the last 2 years, Andrew, our position is so biblical, so balanced. And these very people who said that have openly rejected their own claims. So, huge victories. A few notes, a few additional notes. Number one, the issue of abortion, even though there's all these huge victories in our church, this issue is not over. There are still several problems and loose ends that need to be taken care of. Number one is by claiming, if you look in section 3, page 3, section 6, it has exceptional dilemmas there to kill children for, quote, birth anomalies. And I was talking to someone the other day, and here's what they said. This is very important. Listen to this. He said, Andrew, I was thinking the other day of what this might mean. And I said, hold on, stop. If you have to stop and think about what this might mean, then that is already problematic. Several of you said, Andrew, I don't think the new position supports exceptions. And other people said, oh, no, it still does. The very fact that we are having that discussion, the very fact that you even have to ask that question of what it should mean because it's written in such vague language, that itself is problematic. There is a verse, I think it's in 1 Corinthians chapter 14. I forgot the exact verse, but it says, the trumpet is supposed to have a certain sound. And if you're going to speak in tongues, you need to speak in a language that is simple enough for everyone to understand. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. But our leaders in our church on the most important document on page 3, section 6, the most important part where they're going to make exceptions, use the vague, ambiguous languages possible in order to, in my opinion, I believe it is to confuse people. And for those who think, oh no, it's not a problem, they're not going to cause any trouble anymore, that means that what you have to do is you have to ignore 49 years of lies, disinformation, fraud, greed, murder, and false statements for 49 years, and all of a sudden assume that in 2019, these Boy Scouts and the very honest, noble people are now going to take a really honest stand and not going to do this anymore. Well, we'll find out here in a few months when they publish the protocol what their real intentions were. But the issue's not over. Also, again, like I mentioned earlier, by defining the unborn as living human children, this stands in complete contradiction to our statement on the SDA dictionary in our books, What Adventists Believe About the Soul. I mean, these are huge contradictions that need to be addressed. So this is by no means is this over. The new position of the Adventist Church is a huge step in the right direction. Huge victories that turn the tide of the battle, that give all of us now a huge vantage ground, but it's definitely not over. There's a lot that needs to be issued. For example, look on page 2 of the new position, lines 9 through 11, it says this. It says, human life is of inestimable value. This is true for all stages of human life. The unborn, children of various ages, adolescents, adults, and seniors, listen very carefully, independent of physical, mental, and emotional capacities. And again, on the same page, lines 39 to 41, life is protected by God. It is not. It is not measured by individuals' abilities or their usefulness. So on page 2 of the new position, regardless of your physical capacity and your individual abilities, you are still protected by God. However, page 3, the very next page, page 6, it says that birth anomalies, whatever that means, are exceptional circumstances. So we have openly contradictory statements within the new statement, which again is going to have to lead to, this issue is not over. This is going to have to be addressed. Another thing, as I sat down here to make this video, if you were watching the annual council, there was a whole meeting there when they were talking about the new Adventist, or ADRA's new global campaign. Now, if you go read the article, this is part of what I'm going to tell you right now is going to prove the hypocrisy of our church leaders. During this exact same annual council, when they forced the abortion issue to the late Monday afternoon and gave people a document to look at just a few days before they voted on it, but still using some of the same euphemisms, these same people said, every child everywhere in school. The joint campaign is an urgent call for leaders around the world that all children, regardless of race, age, as a global Christian family, we Adventists must come together to do what we can to see that every child everywhere attends schools, completes their education, has a hope for a better tomorrow. Now, who said that? Go ahead and guess who said that. That came from Elder Ted Wilson. He said that every child needs to be in school. The president of ADRA, Michael Kruger, he said this: we do not accept the fact that 90% of children with disabilities in the developing world are not in school. So you mean to tell me that the top church leaders just said that it doesn't matter if 90% of children with disabilities are not in school? Everyone needs to be in school, even people with disabilities. But these exact same people begin making exceptions to kill children with disabilities. You got the president of Loma Linda standing up there saying that trisomy 21, aka Down syndrome, is a reason for abortion. This is total hypocrisy. This is why it's so important that we speak up on behalf of every child who is not in school today. Again, if a child is not in school, we are supposed to speak up on behalf of all of them, even one child who cannot go to school. Yet these exact same people make exceptions to kill a child who can't even be born. This is totally ridiculous. You can see, whether you like my videos or not, or whether you agree on the abortion issue or not, this is just blatant hypocrisy. Every single child is valuable. Every single child should be in school, and we Adventists should speak up on those few who can't go to school, but then turn around and say, well, we're still going to allow some children to be violently dismembered. This is total nonsense. Being in school is a recognition of the value and potential of each individual child. And so that's coming from top church leaders. So anyways, those are the major victories. The health exception is gone. Rape exception is gone. The unborn human are the same as the born. Abortion violates the 6th commandment. This is murder. The 1992 guidelines are rescinded. Religious liberty and freedom of conscience destroyed. Hallelujah for that. The culture and climate have radically changed. The tide has turned. This is our day. This is our day. This is our time. And there's no going back. The wonderful thing about this new position is that theologically, because it's a theological statement, it gives them they have boxed themselves into a very, very small space. And so they can't argue outside of that box anymore. Before they could say, well, we're really not sure and we're not really clear in really vague lines. Now they said, no, abortion is murder. The unborn are human children. And they've boxed themselves in this very small space. So they can't reverse that now. In order to reverse that or make exceptions, they're going to have to deny the very things that they publicly affirm. So that's great. So this is wonderful. A lot of wonderful improvements. Again, people said, Andrew, this is never going to change. The church is an apostasy. The church is too corrupt. They're never going to let go of the abortion statement. It's all about money, whatever. I don't think it's about money anymore. I think it's just an ideological commitment. These people are sold out to these beliefs, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to keep them. I don't think abortion is a big money maker, but anyways, that's beside the point. I could be wrong. So anyways, huge victories, huge historic change, and it happened just like that. People said it wouldn't happen. Boom, it's happened. And so, my friends, I just want to encourage you, you now have huge key victories that give you the field, to give you the advantage. We no longer have to be on the defensive. And this is great because we no longer have to be on the defensive anymore, trying to explain things to people and show them documents and say, no, The church leaders admitted it. This is open and admitted history now. So we have the vantage ground. We are on the right side. We have huge gains. So I just want to encourage you to capitalize on these gains and to push this issue forward. I would encourage, I think it's a great idea. Leave your comments down below. I think it's good right now to contact the BRI and contact leadership and begin using our position on euthanasia and say, you know, our position on euthanasia, Section 5, is totally contradictory to our position on abortion. Keep pressing on that point. That's a huge weak point, Achilles heel. Another Achilles heel that we should push on is that the abortion issue, the statement says that the unborn are human, but our official dictionary and books say that, you know, they're not. So again, that's a huge contradiction, and we should be pushing on church leaders, apply massive pressure for them to change. And so I think another lesson that we learned in the last few years is that by concentrated, focused pressure on their Achilles heel on good points, you can bring about change as long as it's a biblical issue. So I'm very glad, I'm very happy to see this change. I'm looking forward for more change in the future. I mean, there's no way that we can call ourselves a remnant if we support the killing of even one innocent child, even if it's every 50 years. That still would disqualify us. You cannot do that. You cannot support the killing of one innocent child. So we do need, there's definitely a lot of room for improvement, but this video is all about these huge, historic, monumental victories, which definitely place us in a good position. So anyways, my friends, God bless you. And I just pray that, we'll just go forward. So thanks a lot for listening. Leave your comments down below and let me know what you think, how we can go forward on this issue and other victories that you may have or may have not seen. Anyways, God bless.